What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nabi Podcast. I'm your host, Sani Nabi, and we are back with another sports video recap. This time, getting right back into the NBA. The game we are talking about here is the Game 3 between the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. This game took place in Atlanta after Game 2, which took place in Milwaukee, where we saw Milwaukee completely demolish the Atlanta Hawks and take a huge blowout win. But going into this game, quarter one gets started, Bucks get the tip off, but right after a quick turnover, Capella scores the first bucket for the Hawks on a fast break, and then in a very identical play right after, the Bucks get another turnover that leads to another fast break that ends with a dunk by Capella. Bucks had a very hard time getting their first basket, and after a missed three-point attempt from Brook Lopez, the Hawks went right down the court and scored their own three made by Kevin Huerter, who has really been an unsung hero for the Hawks recently. Regardless, though, the Hawks go up by 7-0 really quick and force Milwaukee to take a timeout, and it took 2 minutes into the game for the Bucks to get their first shot, just for Trae Young to come up the court and hit a logo three and then hit a quick floater not long after that. And then it takes another 2 minutes for the Bucks to get their next bucket, and by the 8-minute mark of that first quarter, the score was 15-4 with the Hawks in the lead. Near the 5-minute mark of the quarter, Giannis goes to the bench with 0 points to his name, but the Bucks do score a few buckets to get their score up to 12. But the Hawks' confidence, they stayed up and they scored 10 points themselves, including a cold 3-point shot by Trae, where he hit us with the shimmy right after. The boy's cold, boy. He is cold. But as hot as the Hawks were starting the quarter, they cooled down just as fast, and they allowed the Bucks to go on a 15-7 point run to end the quarter, only being down by 5 with the score of 32-27. End of that quarter, Trae had 14 points to himself. Second quarter starts, and for the first 2 minutes of the quarter, both teams go bucket for bucket and score 5 points each. But then the following 3 minutes, only Giannis scores the only field goal by either team. For the next few minutes, every time we saw the Bucks start to make a comeback, the Hawks just matched them and scored 10 points to the Bucks 11 in those next few minutes. Then, with about 3 minutes left in the half, the walking ice Trae himself hits another deep logo three. But right after that, the Bucks ended the quarter storming back with a 10-3 run to tie up the game going into halftime. In the third quarter, the Hawks came out with a quick 9-2 run in the first 3 minutes, led by Trae scoring 5 of those 9. But for those next following 3 minutes, although we saw Trae make another 5 points himself, we saw the Bucks outscore the Hawks 12 points to 8. For the last 4 minutes of that quarter, it was pretty even, where we saw both teams score 11 points each to end that quarter. But the biggest moment was in the 29-second mark of the end of that third quarter, where we saw Trae Young take a little step back, take a step backwards after passing the ball off, and he ended up stepping on an idiotic ref, the foot of this idiotic ref that was just standing there, oblivious to the moment. And Trae tweaked his ankle when he stepped on this ref's foot. And he even went to the back into the locker room right after that happened, and right before the quarter ended. If you can't tell, I hate NBA refs. I hate them so much. The fourth quarter starts, and it starts slow, but the most important thing to note was that it wasn't until the clock hit 10 minutes, 2 minutes into the quarter, till we saw Trae Young come back out onto the bench, and it wasn't until 4 minutes into the quarter at the 8-minute mark where we saw Trae Young come actually back into the game. Although Trae was back in the game, you could still see that he was feeling discomfort on that ankle, and he did make a three almost right away when he first came back, but that was the only shot that he made for the rest of the game. And we saw the Bucks take complete advantage of that and came storming back on an 11-3 run for the following 3 minutes of the game. And at the 5-minute mark of the quarter, the Bucks took the 3-point lead. From that moment forward was the beginning of the end, and Chris Middleton scored multiple 3-point shots over and over just himself, and we saw the Hawks make nothing to answer back with, and ending up giving up the win to the away team of the Milwaukee Bucks, and did it in front of the shocked but very hopeful Atlanta crowd. The end score was 113-102. The leading scorers in this game was Chris Middleton with 38 for the Bucks, 20 of which he scored all in the fourth quarter. And for the Hawks, Trae Young ended with 35, and he probably could have ended with over 40, maybe 45 if he never tweaked his ankle. Who knows? That's neither here or there now. But Giannis also ended with 33. Game 4 will take place on Tuesday, June 29th, and once again in front of the Atlanta crowd. Hopefully Trae heals up and, heals well enough to play at his best. But today, Monday, June 28th, as of this moment, he said himself that he's still feeling discomfort. It still hurts pretty much. But, he's hopeful that, he'll be okay. But he's still getting treatment and everything, so it's still early to say. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Regardless, though, that was a quick recap of Game 3 between the Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks of the Eastern Conference Finals. Hope you enjoyed the video. I am your host, Sani Nabi. This was Nabi Podcast, and I will see you guys with the next sports video. See ya.